We're good? We're good? My video working? We're live? We're good. We're live. Ladies and gentlemen, has the down move just begun? None of this Captain Hindsight stuff. We're talking from this point forward. Has the down move just begun? Are we going to plummet lower? I'm going to share with you my thoughts, our precise daily stock levels, our game plan in Forex, as well as our full stock analysis. I am Mark Melnick, and this is the Newsbeat Show. So many interesting things to talk about, so many interesting technical formations, so many reasons why the market should and can and likely will head lower. And I'm going to show you all the scenarios, including why I think the market's going to go up first and then give us a great opportunity to short maybe as early as this week. We're going to go through all that and so much more. But first, I would like to say thank you to our friends over at the T3 Live Compliance team. Kindly pause this video. Once you can memorize it beginning to end, and then from middle to beginning, and then from middle to end, repeat it while blindfolded while juggling three balls simultaneously. Only then may you hit the play button and continue this video. Thank you so much for being such a talented individual who is able to watch this program because I can't juggle if my life depended on it. With that being said, we have a lot of very interesting things to talk about here, including the down move that is inevitable. Do I think we head lower than where we are? Yes, a lot of people are bringing up to me my 10-year market theory. And basically, what the 10-year market theory states is that we will not have 10 consecutive years in the market in a row. It's a made up theory. Obviously, I made it up. It obviously has not proven true yet, which makes it even, in my opinion, even more powerful. Basically, showing you that we wouldn't have 10 consecutive green years in the Qs. Now, if you go back to 1991, here's the yearly. We have one. Basically, a green year is something I judge is that you close higher than where the market opens. So wherever you open on the first trading day of January, and where you close on the last trading day of December. So right over here, you could see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then the 10th year, which is, of course, the year 2000, we shot up. Then, if you were trading with me all the way back then, you saw what happened on April 4th, 2000. That to me was the first experience of what I consider, I don't know if you want to call it a flash crash, but definitely a crash that was happening really quickly. And then you could see what happened here. We shot up and we pulled down. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a good chance we go into a little mini recession. And I know that's not really a popular thing to say, and people are like, oh, bah, 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 bah. Calm your horses. Stop getting your underwear in a knot tie. Let me explain to you something of what happens in these markets. Now, while some of you might not actually understand, um, I've been around maybe not longer than everyone, but even trading, being a full-time trader since 1999, I've been around long enough to see what happens in bear markets. And in my opinion, nothing really changes in a bear market. Nothing is really out of the norm. I mean, I remember going out on April 4th of 2000 when the market was crashing, and I was in 57th and Lexington. I was in the ING building, little company known as Tradescape. And I went outside and I was walking down the street and I walked by a gas station near the highway. And gas in Manhattan at that time was $1.85, when gas in Manhattan is like more expensive than any other spot in New York. It's crazy how expensive gas in Manhattan is because they have to pay rent and they jack up the prices exorbitantly. And that was so I look at it and it's like everybody I've heard the stories before, like truckers will lead, the industry. Do you realize what's happening in the state of New Jersey? Do you realize what's happening in Paris right now? Do you know what's happening with these gas taxes? And the reason why I'm bringing it up is because there are a lot of people who feel like these things end up adding into the potential um, of a recession. I mean, if you look at France right now, they have this gas tax civil war going on. I use the word civil war. Do you read? Most people, I mean, you're so engulfed in all this BS political mumbo jumbo happening in the U.S. that if you actually look at, if you look outside the U.S., there's almost a civil war might happen in France. I mean, that's what they're talking about based on a gasoline tax. So I know, state of New Jersey, we just jacked up the price of our gasoline. We just passed the gasoline tax. And all these things are just leading to the feelings in which could potentially set up for a recession. I'm going to talk about that because I did talk about the market heading lower. I did call for this year to actually, I thought this year was going to look like 2000. And again, I predicted this on the last day of December of last year. I predicted we were going to shoot up and then come all the way back down. I predicted that this yearly candle was going to look like the year 2000 somewhat. Maybe not as deep red because the Qs went from 120 and a half to $54, got cut in less than half. I didn't see that happening per se, but I did think it would look similar. So far, we would need some massive bearish move in the final month of trading in order to have that prediction come to fruition. Please also notice how many times look at the Qs elevating in volume. We're already up to 10.2 billion shares this year. Why is that important? Well, you had 7 billion shares last year. You know when was the last time you started really elevating in volume, like significantly like that? I mean, we've had small little elevation in volumes here, but pretty much the volume tapered off during this amazing rally from 2009 all the way till the top of 2018. The volume has been in a downturn, but it's actually picking up again and it's actually breaking out. Now, what that means, the importance of what that actually means is there's robots out there that trade the market. These robots account, in my opinion, for 95% of the average volume. No, there is no real answer. Some people will say 92, 90, 85. I've heard 80. I've heard 70, 75. I've heard 99. Nobody knows because trading is done anonymously. So, due to the anonymity of trading, nobody really knows the exact numbers of that. But as somebody who deals with algorithmic code and somebody who understands black box strategies which activate and deactivate in certain market conditions. I mean, you can have a black box. I've seen a black box with over 400 strategies. I've seen a black box with over 400 strategies, and it doesn't execute on 400 strategies every day, but based on certain parameters, what those black boxes will do is they'll activate certain strategies. Some of those strategies that I have seen, especially the more complex ones. I'm not talking about the garbage algos which are making like 5 to 25 million a year. And I know it is a lot of money, but I'm talking about the algos that are, the 9 to 10 figure algos, like in that range, when you start making 100 million to a billion, a lot of them are activated based on market volume. And all I'm saying is this year isn't over. We still have a solid month of trading, a month and a week, if you will, of trading, and there's a good chance that these Qs are going to put in over 10.9 billion in volume. Now, why am I mentioning 10.9 billion in volume? That was the volume we did in right over here in 2012. Now, if we start elevating past, like, think about volume in a similar way as you would think about. I'm going to just move my mug over to the right here. Think about volume right over here. Think about volume almost like candlestick breakouts, like when you break out in a stock and you break the prior highs, 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 highs. You know what? We haven't broke a prior year's low. We haven't broke a prior year's low since, you're ready? You're ready? 2008. Remember 2008, the huge crisis, the huge bear market. The market absolutely plunged. I am putting a 95% chance that we break 2018's lows next year. Of course, I'm going to share with every Newsbeat Live member my very famous 2019 report that a lot of people are looking forward to. There is no reason for me. I'm not saying it's going to be as vast but if you look, if you actually look over here, when the Qs put in 9 straight years in a row, and then 9 straight up years in a row, and then on the 10th year pulled down, this is the 10th year, right here. We had 9 straight up years from 2009 to 2017. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And this is the 10th year. If we closed green, basically in English, if we close above $156.56 this year, that will be the first time ever in which we closed higher than where we opened for 10 years in a row, ever, ever. I don't think that's going to happen. I think this bear market is, I don't want to say it already started because, in my opinion, it didn't, but I do think a bear market is going to start. And you might look and you might ask why. And honestly, there's so many factors that lead me to feel this way beyond what's happening. First of all, seeing big companies with sucky earnings like Amazon, like Apple, like Netflix, like Google. Like I was the person sitting here and bashing every one of their earnings reports. You know why I bashed them? Not because I have anything against the company, quite the contrary. I love Amazon. I use all the FANG companies. You might be listening to me on a Facebook. I watch Netflix. I use Google. I use Apple. I have an Apple phone. I use Amazon. I use all these companies. I love them. I absolutely love all these companies. But the problem here is a lot of things from a US-China trade war to um, domestic political policies being passed and setting up here in the United States of America. What's happening, why on earth do you guys think we could rally into another bull market without China? What on earth makes you think the market will go up without the Chinese? See, that's something that always baffled me, like how people think like, oh, the US market could really hold up without China. It really can. It can. And you could point out of moments in history where the market was going up while China was going down. I'll be like, yeah, but I'm talking long term, it's unsustainable. It's unsustainable. I could run 20 miles an hour. I don't think I could do that for over 5 minutes. It's not sustainable. You see what I mean? Certain things are just not sustainable. And I don't see any reason why these markets should be sustainable without the participation of the international communities. You're not going to have the U.S. thriving while China suffers. Russia, they're not that big of a country. I mean, landmass size, population size. I mean, I think New York has a higher GDP than Russia. I mean, again, not to say that New York is small, but just to give you an example, like Russia is not really big when it comes to economic size comparatively to some of the other first world countries like China, like, European countries and, even Canada. So just think about that when you're taking into perspective global economies. With that being said, I think we're going to head higher next week, followed by a potential down move. Again, I do think you're going to get bottom fishers in this market. I do think I could see us grinding up on the Qs 3, 4 points. But what is happening here is you are going to start setting up a bear flag. You are going to start setting up a bear flag. And if you digest up and set up a bear flag, I'm going to look to buy puts. I'm going to look to short the entire market. We still have some names that are reporting next week that I do find very interesting. I mean, the news flows, the good thing about this for us, what does this all mean for you? Does this mean you should be long-term swinging short? We had a very nice thing in the Newsbeat live gathering, which we try to help you identify yourself as a trader. And it's something that rooms don't talk to you about. They try to pull you in and say you're gonna, 100% be in this system, and otherwise you can't do it. The beautiful thing about the Newsbeat Live Room is there's a lot of people who apply a myriad and plethora of different strategies, and based on that abundance of strategies and that abundance of transparency that we offer here, it really offers sort of an a la carte, all-you-can-eat buffet for the majority of traders. So I did have a very interesting Newsbeat live gathering. Again, it's offered for free. You could go ahead and watch it. And we do have some interesting names that are reporting this week. So I just want to go over some of those names right now. And let's see. And by interesting, I mean things that could just show how bad things are, even if they're not the biggest name. Now, granted, like all the Fang names reported, but like for example, um, for example, you have companies like, where is that? Like GWPH, like Nutanix. I think this is going to be a very interesting one on earnings. CRM, Salesforce.com. If they're not doing well, what does that mean? That people aren't using their services as much? Businesses are closing? I mean, these could be very big things. Dick's Sporting Goods, DKS, another retail name to add on to the slew of other companies. There's some other retail names as well, like Chico's and Jack and Jill's and Burlington Coat Factory is reporting. How about a Tiffany's is reporting, luxury good retailer? I mean, the people aren't overpaying for Tiffany's products, and by God, do they make ugly jewelry for the price they charge? For the price they charge. I mean, the bottom line is when you buy Tiffany's, you're not buying the price of the diamonds or the silver or the gold or the gemstones that are on it. You're not just buying that, you're buying the name Tiffany, which will jack up that price at least 20 times more than you would at any normal retailer. So it's kind of phenomenal. Chinese companies like Sina, Chinese companies like Weibo, that's WB, those companies are also going to be reporting. How about Abercrombie and Fitch? I would be surprised if Abercrombie and Fitch sold more than 7 swimming suits in the last quarter. Like, who the hell, when was the last time you were in an Abercrombie and Fitch? I remember when I was in high school, I'd walk by it and I would look in the window and I would see black and white photos of like all these like attractive looking people in the photos who it looked like I was like, like when you look at an Abercrombie and Fitch photo, it's like, looks like a bunch of 25 to 35-year-olds who are pretending they're in high school, who one of their parents gave them the keys to the upstate cabin, upstate wherever they live, in the mountains somewhere, and they're all hanging out in a lake, dressing, slender and half anorexic looking. And I was like, wow, that's okay. So I'd go in, I bought like a swimsuit. Are they even open anymore? Does anybody, when was the last time you were in an Abercrombie and Fitch? Anyone? When you were 16? Yeah, I think that's about when I was last time in an Abercrombie and Fitch. When I was 16. Certain clothing brands, they just don't stand the test of time. You saw one at the mall the other week. Oh, they managed to stay open. They managed to stay open. That's pretty impressive. Okay, so you have companies like them reporting Build-A-Bear Workshop, another company you could find inside a shopping mall, a Dollar Tree, Express. You know what? I haven't been in Express forever. Express is reporting. You might have another, um, you know, play in XRT. Now, I know what I did in XRT. It was kind of sexy on Monday. I went ahead and I opened up a strangle and I absolutely crushed it because the puts played off so well. I might do that again. Maybe on Tuesday I might do that. Another XRT strangle. You have to stay tuned and I'll tell you how I do it. I'm definitely looking to do it again. You definitely have enough retail that are reporting that makes it interesting. How about GameStop is reporting? One of the interesting things at GameStop was they were selling Magic the Gathering booster packs for $1 a piece. Now, why do you find that interesting? Well, obviously, you guys know that that's a little bit of a hobby of mine. And the interesting thing about selling Magic the Gathering booster packs is that I know the suppliers to GameStop of Magic the Gathering, and they are paying more money than what they are selling it for. I, again, cannot begin to envision that being positive for a GameStop. That's also how our XRT might, be affected. You have other companies like Ambarella reporting. That should be interesting. More semiconductor stuff. This thing has been hard. How about HPQ, leader selling of ink on the planet? That should be interesting. Palo Alto. This stock has been taking a bit of a hammering since mid-September. Stock dropped from 239 down to 160. Stock lost a third, solid third of its value. VMware, Workday, they're also reporting. So you are going to have very interesting earnings names. And of course, we're going to share with you in real time how we're obviously trading it during the trading day. And it will be very interesting. So, again, I do think we're going to head a little bit higher this week. I do think it's going to set us up for shorts. I do think it's going to set us up for shorts. On a bear flag digestive pattern, you generally head higher over 95% of the time. Just like on a bull flag digested pattern, you generally head lower. So we'll see what happens here. With that being said, how about our precise daily stock levels? Because you would like to know where some of the biggest names might look for bottoms and tops. And right over here, we share with you the Qs, Spiders, IWM, Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, Google. These are all algorithmic levels. Write it down, screenshot it, take a picture of it with your phone. Don't tattoo it on yourself because it will change 5 days a week, for every trading day. But when these levels hit, they don't always hit. In fact, they usually don't. But when they do, it does often represent a very close level to a top or bottom the vast majority of the time. So there is a lot of value behind these levels. Definitely take a look at them. They're free. They're there for you to help you make money. Game plan in Forex. Okay, so on the game plan here, I'm watching Overstock. Now, again, the Newsbeat live room was the community that was buying Overstock here in the 20s, and a lot of us wrote it to 90 bucks. I wasn't one of those people, but I don't even know how much I probably made good six figures, I would guess, on Overstock with this huge rally here. But the name has been beaten up, fell out of favor with the whole crypto bust, and they're still focusing on their cryptocurrency. In fact, I know the person personally who's running it. No, I don't talk to him about it. I wouldn't want to put him in any hot water, as he does know probably that I run a room here. Um, Smart guy. I know investors in it as well. They only take accredited investors, investors with money. And I personally don't own any T0 tokens, which is Overstock's tokens here. But the guy running it is smart for whatever it's worth, in my opinion. He sort of looks like that blue dinosaur from Monsters, or like that blue dinosaur. That's what he looks like in person. I love the guy to death, though. 21.95. Your breakout on Overstock. I love the high volume. I love the pop up. I am looking for a follow through. They actually ticked it down after hours on Friday down to 20.57. That doesn't mean anything to me that it's down 36 cents after hours from Friday. I am looking for a follow through from 21.95. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to be part of the Newsbeat live experience, there is no better time to give us a shot. If you look right here on number 5, we have a Cyber Monday special starting now, 90% off your first month in the Newsbeat live room. Take advantage of it. There are other deals as well. There are, other products as well that T3 offers. Definitely check it out if you want 90% off. It's definitely very cool. So our Forex trades, yeah, don't hate the trader, hate the setups. And again, this is another day in a row where I'm giving you guys no new orders today on the Forex side. It's rare, it happens. There's just no setup that I like. And until I find a setup I like, I'm not going to throw a Forex trade down. I don't make this decision. The chart makes this decision for me. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go into our full stock analysis. Remember, if you do want to be part of this Cyber Monday deal, that's www.t3live.com/cyber. Again, t3live.com/CYBER. 90% off. The deal obviously ends on Monday. I don't know what time on Monday, but it will obviously be done by Tuesday and sometime on Monday. So definitely take advantage of that. And there is a reason why, ladies and gentlemen, why parakeets and parrots alike feel that the Newsbeat Live Room is the largest, fastest growing trading room in the nation. Happy trading, make money. I'll see you guys tomorrow on the Newsbeat Live trading broadcast. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening.